اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم آمين وبعد. We'll keep tonight's lesson short, inshallah, for we have our Arabic dars, inshallah. We're on the chapter speaking about the ibadah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We gave an introduction last night, and something that we could add that's important to note is the seclusion in ibadah. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he voluntarily did various types of ibadah. He would pray the tahajjud, which we mentioned last night, alayhi salatu wassalam. Tonight we're going to see that we're going to talk about things salat al-duha and other prayers he would pray. If he missed a sunnah prayer, he sallallahu alaihi wasallam would make it up oftentimes. He praised the person who sits in seclusion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and tears from their love and fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was an active relationship, was a conscious relationship. And he was present with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and felt the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we really want to emulate that in our worship. Because sometimes ibadah can become very routine. You go pray, you pray in jama'ah, you pray at the masjid, you do your ruku' sujood, and it's become a routine. You're kind of programmed, and you've mastered this routine, and you go in and out. But there's really no, it's not experiential in the sense that we feel the presence with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We feel humility and tranquility, and really we are in fear and in love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was the ibadah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But the ibadah of later generations has become that of routine and just practice. And so we want to make sure our ibadah is active, sincere, and really intimate with Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we read some of the hadith for tonight and then conclude. The first hadith is narrated by Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He says, قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي من الليل 13 ركعة. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he used to pray at night 13 raka'ah. The Prophet ﷺ used to pray 13 raka'ah. We're not limited to that. Sahaba, many of them prayed 40 raka'ah, 50 or less or more at night time. Although the Prophet ﷺ did this, the scholars, they said that at night time you're encouraged to pray as much as you can. Other Sahaba, they prayed only 2 raka'ah. They prayed like Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu. He would read the whole Quran in 2 raka'ah. He favored long recitations over abundant ruku'. And so in his opinion, having more Quran in your prayer was better than having more sujood. Other Sahaba, they said that it's better to have more sujood in your prayer than long amounts of Quran. So they preferred to pray abundant raka'at at night with less Quran recitation. So our scholars have these two opinions, which is more virtuous: short amount of raka'at or with more Quran, or more raka'at with shorter Quran. And so these are kind of the two manahij of the Salaf, and they adopted both. As we see, the Prophet ﷺ, his balance was more in the middle. He prayed 13 rak'ah. Another hadith, he prayed 11. He would usually stick to that number, alayhi salatu wassalam. And also we see from the demonstration of the Sahaba that in ibadah, there are areas where we can choose our preference. We're not restricted, and this is sometimes people confuse innovation with kind of the ahkam. They think that everything is an innovation, and not really. There are many areas that, yes, the Prophet ﷺ didn't do it, but he showed us that it is allowed for you to do this, and it's your choice and what you feel most comfortable with it. So if you like praying a lot, do it. If you like praying less rak'at, it's fine as well. You haven't committed an innovation. You haven't deviated from the sunnah. You take from the ibadah that which is most impactful for you. And so that's just something to note when it comes to the fiqh of ibadah. Sometimes there's a misconception about innovation and how far we can use our own preference and ijtihad and the types of ibadah that we adopt. The next hadith is narrated by Sayyidatuna Aisha radiallahu anha. She says, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا لم يصلي بالليل منعه من ذلك النوم وغلبته عيناه صلى من النهار 12 ركعة. She mentioned radiallahu anhu, interesting hadith. When the Prophet ﷺ missed a night prayer because of sleep or fatigue, he alayhi salatu wasalam would pray during the day. He would pray 11 rak'at. And so this was in habit. So these 12 rak'at, he would pray 12 rak'at. And a lot of the scholars, they said this salat al-duha. So they say if you don't pray tahajjud, or if you do but you miss it, the kind of the alternative, the option, plan B, if we're not doing tahajjud, is salat al-duha. Right, and so that's kind of also one way to work it up to tahajjud. Let's say we're not there yet, and we don't have the discipline and the motivation to really pray tahajjud regularly, or just responsibilities. We really have, maybe we're heavy sleepers, or whatever the circumstance might be. Well, we can start with salat al-duha, and so we can pray 2 rak'at, and that will be kind of equivalent to praying, 2 rak'at tahajjud. And then you pray 4, and then you kind of do that as a routine. So the Prophet ﷺ, he used to do it as a replacement for tahajjud if he missed it, but it's allowed for his ummah to take duha prayer as an alternative to tahajjud if they're not able to find, the kind of the discipline to pray tahajjud. And we'll take this final hadith and conclude. This hadith is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. He says, عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا قام أحدكم من الليل فليفتتح صلاته بركعتين خفيفتين. The Prophet ﷺ said, if one of you stands up at night to pray, let him begin his prayer with 2 brief units of prayer. And so the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith is saying, let the beginning of your prayer kind of be light and brief. Don't read a long portion right away. And then as you warm up, then increase the portion. And psychologically, it makes sense. You don't go heavy right away. You start out with kind of something mild, light. And once you're kind of in the mindset of prayer, your khushu' is increased. Sometimes it takes a while to kind of calm your thoughts, get a control over your mind. The mind itself is a mystery, right? Sometimes it takes a while to focus our minds and calm ourselves down, remove the distractions. And so what do? You start your tahajjud with 2 brief prayers, and then you increase. And also we see that wisdom in the furud, the obligatory prayers. It's recommended to pray sunnah before. It's kind of to get you in the mindset of prayer. You pray brief sunnah before the fard, so that by the time you pray the fard, you've kind of, you've been able to kind of, quiet down the world. You put the world on mute, and you're able to gather your thoughts, gather your focus, and then you enter the fard prayer. And so there's that, subhanAllah, that psychological kind of balance and build-up in khushu'. And we see the Prophet ﷺ, he paid attention to that in how he taught the Sahaba radiallahu anhum to worship. And so we'll conclude with that, inshallah, for tonight. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make His worship easy for us and beloved to us, to assist us in His remembrance and His gratitude. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us lovers and adherers to the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We ask Allah to forgive us, our parents, our teachers, and all of the Muslimin, and to bless us, our spouses, our children, our health and wealth, and our entire community. Ya Rabbil Alameen. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والحمد لله رب العالمين.